So now today in this lecture, the lecture 6 of this module 2, we will be discussing the remaining portion of the capillarity and the seepage. So we talked about capillarity in the previous class, wherein I told you that the upward force due to the surface tension will be balanced by the downward force of which will be due to the mass of the water in the capillary tube, or when we talk about the soil solids, it will be what? When we talk about the soil mass, what will be there? The soil solids will be at the sides, and the centermost portion will be the voids. This portion is this portion acts as the voids of the soil. So the upward force is there, upward pull due to the surface tension, and the downward force due to mass of the water in the tube. So for equilibrium, what happens? Fu will be equal to the Fd force. So understand here, if this is the capillary tube, this portion here, this is the capillary tube, what happens? That the water table is at this level, the groundwater table level. So due to capillary action, the water tends to rise up, and this, let us say this section, this will be at this point, the soil solids will be trying to hold up this water, and here the pressure will be trying to be more, but at this point the power required by the soil solids to hold the water in tension is slightly less, because the height to which it has to be raised, it is very small here as compared to this height, which is comparatively more. So now if we take the surface tension here at the surface here, and this is Ts, so when we take this component, the vertical component of this surface tension force, and this also here, so this, the surface tension vertical component which is acting at an angle of theta, and the weight of the water which is acting downward. So we will be taking these two forces here. So Fu is equal to Fd, we know, then Ts into cos theta into pi d, that is, which is this surface tension force is acting along the circumference of the entire void. Now this is the volume, pi by 4 into d square, that is the area, into Hc, it consists of the volume of the water which is there. Now we know the volume, and we multiply it by the unit weight of the water, it comes out to be the force which will be acting downwards. So we notice that Hc value, when we rearrange the terms here, Hc comes out to be 4 into Ts cos theta by gamma w into d. Now for chemically clean glass tube and pure water, theta is equal to 0, so cos theta will be equal to 1, so Hc is equal to 4 into Ts by gamma w into d. So you already know that Ts is the surface tension, d is the diameter of capillary tube or the void size, Hc is the height of capillary rise. So when we are talking about this formula here, 4 into Ts by gamma w into d, so important thing here, one important thing I am telling you this, that at 20 degree Celsius the surface tension value comes out to be 72.86 into 10 to the power minus 6 kilonewton per meter. When you put this formula, when you put this Ts value and the gamma w value, you already know, that is 9.81 kilonewton per meter cube. When you put this value in the formula, so you get Hc maximum rise, that is equal to, and this surface tension value is for the water air interface here. Hc value is equal to 0.29 by d centimeters. The value are taken in kilonewton, when we simplify it comes out to be this much value, and this much value will be in the centimeters. Now in this diagram, see here, the water here, the water is in complete portion, this is the capillary rise and this is the groundwater table that we use for our use, but capillary water cannot be used for drinking purposes. This groundwater table can be utilized for drinking purposes. So this water here, it is under hydrostatic compression as usual, that is, let us say this is the height, say z into gamma w. But when we talk about this capillary rise, so this water is under tension, because the soil solids are trying to lift it up to the certain height. So here it is certain less value, here it is certain more value, the value has increased, because at this portion the water is trying to be held up by the soil solids. The soil solids are trying more and more to hold this water. So, here the water is in tension, and below the groundwater table there is no need to hold the water. The water is acting under its own weight, that is Z into gamma W. So, water in the capillary tube above the groundwater table is in a state of tension, as I told you, and the convention here is the compression will be taken as positive and tension will be taken as negative, and water in capillary tube below the groundwater table is in hydrostatic compression as usual. These tensile stresses in water present in the capillary tube are termed as, they are given different terms, give different names, that is the capillary tension or the capillary potential or the soil suction or the negative pressure. These are the 4 terms. Capillary potential, because how much potential is of the capillary to lift up the water, or how much the soil has the suction force, or how much is the negative pressure that has been generated by these tensile stresses or by these capillary forces. Next thing is, the capillary tension is maximum at the level of meniscus and reduces linearly up to 0 at the groundwater table level, that we saw here. See, at this level it is maximum value, see this value. If we start from this, if it is 0 line, if it is a 0 line, so what happens, this is the maximum value here, this is somewhat lesser, this value it is somewhat lesser here, it is somewhat lesser, this one it is somewhat lesser. So, as we go up, as we move away from the water table to a certain height, the value of surface tension will be increasing, and it is a linear relation. The curve slope is 1 by gamma W. Then understand here that it is not like the basic, when we talk about the capillary tube in the physics or chemistry, the soil solids, when we talk about the soil solids which are at the boundaries, they act in a slightly different way. Soil is of complex nature, and so a theoretical analysis of capillarity is not entirely valid. That is, theoretical analysis of capillarity that we talked about, that we said, that I said that not like the physics or the chemistry one that you study. Here it is not entirely valid, as interaction between the voids is not only extend in vertical direction but also in the horizontal direction. So, the voids here, understand, the voids are not like this straight line only, they can move up like this also, they can move up like this also. The voids, they do not have a definite path, they do not have a straight line path like a capillary tube. So, the water can rise up like from, if this is the groundwater table level and there are certain soil solids here. So, water can have any path, water can have any path by the capillary action. This is the capillary action which we are talking about. So, Terzaghi and Peck gave a relation, so of the rise of this capillary rise in centimeters, C upon E into D10. D10 is the effective size in centimeters and C value is 0.1 to 0.5 centimeter square. Now, consider here a numerical, the difference in values of the capillary rise for fine sand and silt. So, you are given capillary rise values, that is the HC values for the fine sand here and the silt, and that is the difference you have been given. The capillary rise in sand is 0.5 meter. So, HC value for fine sand is given to you, that you have taken here, that is equal to 0.5 meter, and the difference in the capillary rise is given. So, you can easily find it out for the silt value also, HC2, that is equal to the 0.5 plus 4.5 meter, that is the difference. So, the capillary rise is this 0.5 meter for fine sand and for silt it is the 5 meters. So, let us, we have taken here into consideration TS surface tension as 75 into 10 to the power minus 6 kilonewton per meter cube. You could have also taken standard case of the water being at 20 degrees Celsius and the water air interface, wherein the surface tension value would have been 73 into 10 to the power minus 6 kilonewton per meter cube. Now, taken into consideration D1, that is the size of voids in the fine sand, and D2, that is in the silt. So, we are taking to these two cases. So, the rise HC1 is equal to 4 into Ts into gamma W into D, that is the D1. So, this one here, when we put on the values this much, when you put on the value here, this D value will be coming out to be, this one here it will be D, and this HC1 is equal to 0.5 for this, and the value comes out to be, that will be equal to this D1. When you talk about this HC2, we again apply the formula, and then this here D2, it comes out to be this value here, and this HC2 is equal to 5, that we already know here. So, the difference in size of the voids comes out to be HC1 minus HC2, or we would say this D1 minus D2. So, it comes out to be 61.16 minus 6.11 D1 minus D2. This one is not HC1 and HC2, these are D1 and D2 values. So, this comes out to be 55.05 into 10 to the power minus 6 meter, that is coming out to be 0.055 mm. So, this is the difference in size of the voids of the two soils, that is the value of D1 minus D2 value. So, please correct it, these are not HC1 and HC2, this is D1 and D2. Now, we are moving into the new topic here, that is the seepage. Seepage means the water that is trying to flow. Okay. So, before going into the seepage part, we will be understanding the types of head that are available. So, there are three heads, that is the velocity head, the pressure head and the elevation or datum head. When you talk about the head, always understand that we are talking about the energy level. So, what is the energy? So, energy can be in the form of velocity, energy can be in the form of pressure, or energy can be in the form of elevation. So, but when we are talking about this thing, see here that let us take a soil mass here, these are the boundaries, and let us take these 3 point A, this point end point B, and this middle point C. So, see here we have assumed one datum. In the question always there will be one datum that will have been given to you. So, when we apply a piezometer here, it was seen that the water rises up to this level. So, we took this as the pressure head HWA. When this piezometer applied at this B point here, water rises up to this level, that is HWB. When the piezometer is applied at C point, the water level rises up to this by the virtue of its pressure. So, one thing is the pressure head and another thing is the datum, that is this one here, the distance of that point from the datum, distance of this C point from the datum, distance of this B point from the datum. Here in this case we have taken HWB is equal to ZB. Also understand here, for the seepage problems in the soil, the velocity head is negligible because very small discharge is there, and it is not like the fluid. In the fluid mechanics we considered a very large amount of discharge, that is not available here. So, the pressure head, when we talk about this, understand that it is equal to HWA, HWB and HWC as we saw in the previous diagram. The elevation head was, the datum was at some higher level here, and the point was somewhat at a lower level. So, we are considering it into negative sign. When we are going up, we will be taking a positive sign, and when we are going down, we will be taking a negative sign when we are talking about the elevation or the datum head. So, it is minus ZA, minus ZB, minus ZC. So, when we talk about this hydraulic head, it is HWA minus ZA, that is hydraulic head. You have to understand here that this is the pressure head plus the elevation head. When we add these two terms, we get the hydraulic head, the energy in the water which causes the flow. This hydraulic head is the one which is responsible for the flow to take place from one end to another end. So, this is minus ZB minus ZC, and hydraulic head is adding these two terms, we get this HWB plus of minus ZB, and then plus these two terms we get this thing. So, the hydraulic head under which the flow is taking place from this A to B, C is some middle point here. So, we are taking this A to B. So, the head is actually this HWA minus ZA and then between these two. So, the flow takes place from A. So, this energy will be somewhat more and this energy will be somewhat lesser. So, the head will be HA minus HB, that is HWA minus ZA, HWB minus ZB. So, see here, this HWB and ZB were almost same as we saw in the figure see here HWB and then this ZB are almost same. So, this is equal to ZB. So, when we subtract it, it comes out to be 0. This entire term comes out to be 0. So, the entire head will be this head H under which the flow takes place, that is HWA minus ZA. So, what will be H in actual here? So, understand here, if we are considering this thing, so this is the head under which the flow takes place. Now, understand one thing more, that is the seepage pressure. So, what is the amount of pressure that is being exerted when the water seeps through the soil mass? So, when water passes through a saturated soil mass, it exerts a pressure over the soil solids by virtue of viscous friction. Obviously, there would be some friction in the when the water passes through the soil solids, and that pressure which is being exerted by the water over these soil solids, that is termed as the seepage pressure. And we have already discussed that if H is the hydraulic head under which flow takes place, then seepage pressure PS is given as H into gamma W. Now, seepage force, when we are talking about the force, so we will be multiplying the pressure, seepage pressure by area. When we multiply this seepage pressure into area, we get H into gamma W into the area. While we try to simplify the term, seepage force is expressed as force per unit volume. We could say this as a specific seepage force. So, that is the seepage force per unit volume of the soil. So, volume is nothing but area into the height or the depth which we consider. So, we put on the value of this PS, that is H into gamma W into A, and then this A into H. So, we cancel out this A value and this H value. So, we get the value comes out to be I into gamma W, which is practically easier to find out. Now, understand that seepage pressure always acts in the direction of the flow. This is a very important thing here. We will be discussing here three concepts, that is the no flow condition, three hydrodynamic conditions, that is the no flow condition, upward flow condition and the downward flow condition, and then we will move on to the quicksand part, how and what is the quicksand. So, seepage pressure always acts in the direction of the flow, hence vertical pressure at any section in the soil mass may either increase or decrease due to this seepage pressure depending upon the direction of flow. We will be seeing this point here. Then vertical pressure at any section in the soil mass constitutes of submerged weight of the soil mass above that section and the seepage pressure. So, the submerged weight of the soil and the seepage pressure above that section, we are talking about that section. We always consider the vertical stresses above that section. If the flow takes place in downward direction, seepage pressure also acts in the downward direction, which results in increase of effective stress. Okay, we will be seeing how increase of effective stress is taking place. If the flow takes place in upward direction, then there is decrease of effective stress. The effective stress decreases, and this is one condition which we will be discussing when we discuss the quicksand portion. So, the very first case we are considering, that is the no flow condition here, wherein let us say the valve is closed here, here it is the soil mass which is present, the groundwater table is at this level, and this is the height Z, this is the height H1, this is the height H. The H is the soil mass, H1 is the water here. So, understand that in the no flow condition there is this point A, this point C and this point B. So, in these 3 points what happens, what are the different heads? So, this point A, B and C, the pressure head is H1, at B point, it is the lowermost point, the pressure is H1 plus H, and this point HC, that C point, it is H1 plus Z. How do we know this pressure head? By the manometer level, see it is showing no value. At this point it is what? H plus H1. At if you point about C point, what will be the pressure head? When we apply the piezometer here, what will be the pressure head? It will be H1 plus this Z value. When you for this point C, for this point A, it will be nothing but H1. It is very simple there. Then if we talk about elevation head, so if we consider this as datum, if you have considered this as the datum, it is very important here that we consider this as the datum. So, when you are talking about this as the datum, so this is at 0 height, so it is 0. At this point A, it is the total height. For A, the datum head will be somewhat h, this value. For C, it will be h minus z, that is this. When we add these two values, we get this value for the respective points, for the different points. And when we point out at A, the total stress will be equal to the water mass that is over there, that is h1 into gamma w. The pore water pressure will be equal to h1 into gamma w. When we subtract these two terms, we get sigma dash, that is equal to 0. At B, that is the lowermost point, that is the lowermost point. At this point, what will be the total stress value? It will be this h1 into gamma w, and then somewhat value, that is the h gamma saturated. And the pore water pressure will be h1 plus h, that will be according to the groundwater table level, and it will be h gamma dash. When we subtract these two terms, we get h gamma dash here. When we talk about the C point, for the C point, sigma 1 is equal to h1 gamma w plus z gamma saturated, u is equal to h1 plus z into gamma w. You have to see the figure and then you have to easily find out this thing. We have already discussed how to calculate these two terms, and then go on for this sigma dash, that is z into gamma dash. So, see here the hydraulic head is what? h1 plus h, h1 plus h, h1 plus h. So, this also shows that there is no difference between this A point and this B point in terms of hydraulic head. If there is no difference as such, so what happens there? That no flow is possible. If there would have been some difference in the energy, let us say if it was value was 10 and it was value was 5, so the flow would have been taken place from whichever direction the energy is higher to whichever the direction the energy is lower. But here in this case the energy is the same, h1 plus h, h1 plus h. So, no flow condition is there, it is being depicted here. When we talk about the second case, that is the downward flow condition, what happens? Where we talk about the inflow, that is here, the soil water passes on and the water goes out from this. So, what happens? It increases the effective stress here. The effective stress in the soil is increased. You will be seeing this. So, this is the point A, this is the point C, and this is the bottommost point B. So, we take here this as the point as the datum, this line as the datum, this is the datum line. So, when you are talking about this thing, see the different heads, that will be h1, then at B point the head will be, the pressure head will be denoted by what? The rise in the piezometer level. So, it is somewhat h1 plus h minus h, it is a lower value. Then at C point it is h1 plus z minus iz. So, this hydraulic gradient I here, it is the varying portion, it is the controlling factor here, this C1. Then we talk about the elevation head. So, B point it is at 0 1, and elevation head for A point it is at a height of h from the datum, that is the point where B is located. And then when we talk about this C, it is h minus z. When we add these two, we get the hydraulic head here, h1 plus h, and then this is minus h. So, this is, let us say this, it is here 10, it is here 5, let us say these two values are there. So, the water will flow from this to this direction, it is also shown here. So, the water flows from the higher direction, higher energy to lower energy here. So, the hydraulic head under which the flow takes place is between this A and between this B. So, h1 plus h minus this h1 plus h minus h. So, when we subtract these two things, we get the hydraulic head under which the flow takes place to be small h. Now, if we talk about the different points A, B and C, we easily note down the total stress value, the effective stress value and the pore water pressure value. So, here it is 0, and it is the same as in the previous case at A. At B, when we talk about, so that is equal to h1 into gamma w plus h into gamma saturated, and pore water pressure is the height of the, when you see the piezometer there, that is h1 plus h minus h into gamma w, and when you subtract these two things, you get the effective stress. And similarly for point C also, you will be calculating the total stress, the pore water pressure and the effective stress values. So, this is very important point here. Now, if we take the third condition, see here, but before going on to the third condition, see here the downward flow condition. See, in this case that the effective stress for this portion is 0 here, but slowly what happens, the effective stress value goes on increasing as the depth goes on increasing, the effective stress value is increasing to this and to this value. So, we will be seeing how does it vary. This here see plus Iz gamma W. Now, see here that was in the downward flow condition, but when we talk about the upward flow condition, this is the third case that we will be considering. What happens in the upward flow condition? The water flows from this point, so it passes from C, B, C and A, and then this flows out here. Now, what happens if we consider this line as the datum? So, what happens? See, if the water flows in here, we will be taking the piezometric head like this H, and then this H by capital H into Z. This portion is what? I, that is the hydraulic gradient. It is if we consider for some unit H, small h, and the total capital H with respect to the capital H, the total height of the flow. So, the hydraulic gradient is small h by capital H into Z. So, understand here, we will be considering these 3 points again, and we will be calculating what? The total head here, that is the pressure head and the datum head, and at B point and at C point the different heads, and then we will be going on for the hydraulic head. So, the pressure head is what? H1 plus H plus H. So, here it is value is plus H, and then this one is Iz value when we are moving up the soil section. When you talk about the elevation head, that is the, this will be H, at this point B it is just at the datum level, so it is 0, and then at some point C it is H minus Z, that is the elevation head. When you talk about the hydraulic head, we will be simply adding these two things and we get the hydraulic head. Now, the flow is taking place from B to A. You understand this thing, because B was at this point, say this, and A was at this point. It is an upward flow condition. So, here obviously you see this H1 plus H is lesser than what? H1 plus H plus H. So, the flow will take place from this B end to A end. So, see here the head B minus head A. So, this comes out to be H1 plus H minus H1 plus H. So, this comes out to be small h. Similarly, when we talk about the different stress levels, that is the total stress at A, which is totally similar to the previous cases that we studied, but when you talk about the B section, what happens? This value, see, the effective stress value has somewhat decreased, and then at C point this is Iz gamma W, that is some effective stress has again decreased. So, this decrease in effective stress is what is noticed in the upward flow condition, which is contrary to the downward flow condition. So, we will be discussing this upward flow condition with the quicksand in the next portion. Thank you for today.